Hello, welcome to episode 6 of the Shanty Knits podcast. My name is Chantal and I will be your host. Thank you for any returning viewers. I want to say a special thank you for coming back and taking some time out of your day and spending it with me. I do appreciate it. I want to say welcome to any new viewers. If you're here from the Professor Knits podcast, I just hope you like what you see and you hit that subscribe and that like button. I can be found on Ravelry as Shanty Knits, which I understand that some of you may not be using it right now, but if they do decide to change their website, I can be found there as Shanty Knits. For Instagram, I can be found as Shanty_D. Feel free to message me on any of those platforms, and I'll be happy to respond. I love making new friends. So today, I'm hoping will be a shorter podcast because I only have 3 finished objects to show you. I don't have any whips that I'm going to show you today because they're in that endless stockinette stage and there's no point in showing them to you. So I don't have any whips to show you per se. And then I have a chatter section. I hope that you'll join me at the end for the chatter section. I do have some special announcements at the end, but if you are just here for the knitting, I can truly appreciate that, and I do thank you for tuning in either way. So if you want to stick with me at the end, I have some special announcements. I would love for you to hang out with me there. But we'll hop right in because I said it was going to be a shorter podcast. So we will start with my first finished object, which some of you may have seen on Instagram already and on Ravelry if you do follow me there, because it is available and it is released now. This is the Lonnie sweater. I did make it in my true fashion into a cardigan. So it is a cardigan version, and I did do a little bit of a wider steek in the front just because it is a 70-20-10. Did I get that right? Yes, 70-20-10 cashmere merino blend, or merino cashmere blend. So it is a little bit slippery. It's not a sticky yarn. So I did do a wider steek in the front, and I did do a double machine steek on either side. So basically, what I'm trying to say is I did 2 lines of machine steeking on either side of the steek. So in total, there's 4 reinforcements in the sweater. This is, did I mention it was already released? So this is the back portion of it. It has one main lace motif at the back, a very delicate detail, very easy lace motif. It's not a very large motif either. So it has one large lace motif in the back. And then on either side, you have a double moss stitch underneath the sleeve, and then a delicate lace pattern in the front. Both on the left and the right side, those lace patterns are mirrored. I don't think that you would be able to see it if you just walked up to somebody and been like, hey, those are mirrored. But when you're working the pattern, you'll definitely notice because it's not a very wide lace pattern in the front. I want to say it's 10 stitches. So in the front, you'll notice as you're working across it that those 2 lace patterns are mirrored. Double moss stitch. I did not continue that. I know I mentioned in the last podcast that I would try to continue it up, but as you can see, it's kind of wide, and just to shorten it, if I would have thought about it working the body, I probably could have decreased a little bit so that it just kind of seamlessly went into the sleeve, but just halving it, it was really jarring to me on the eye. You may like it, but to me it was kind of jarring on the eye, so I just scratched the whole textured sleeve. But it is still a beautiful garment with very nice delicate details. I'll swing her around to the front. If you've been watching for a while, you know I don't like a button front per se. I prefer just an open front cardigan little brooch. But on the ribbing, I did 3x1 ribbing on the front collar, and on the hems it's just basic 2x2. And on this hem, if you can see it just a little bit, hopefully you can, I took just 2 rows of this contrast color and added it to the hem on both the sleeve and on the bottom. And I'll add some project photos here. So that you can see what I mean. For the shawl collar, I didn't do a deep shawl collar and I didn't do too many short rows in the back, just because I feel like this is better suited for early to mid-spring or early to mid-fall. It has that delicate lace motif in the back, so if you're out somewhere like sitting on a bar stool, maybe wishful thinking, but if you're sitting out on a bar stool and the wind is blowing or something like that outside, you're going to feel that directly on your spine. But it is a delicate lace motif at the back. I think it's a wonderful detail added to the pattern, especially that right here in the front, it kind of ties it all together. But to me, this, and especially with the yarn, it is more of a spring-fall cardigan rather than a heavy-duty winter cardigan. I think that's all that I really want to mention about it, just because I did talk in depth about it on my last podcast. If you do have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll answer them for you. But hopefully you can get the whole gist of the sweater with those project photos that I added for you and see the nice little details and enough close-ups of them so that you can see what I mean about each of those. But again, this is the Lonnie Sierra by Hannah of the Tales of Yarnia. It is now released, so you can get it. I think it's been a while. My weeks are running together, but I think it's been a while and the discount code is not active anymore. So it'll be a full price pattern, but it definitely is worth full price. The charts, the lace motifs are both charted and written instructions, so you do have your choice either or of that. And I did leave detailed notes about what I did to turn this into a cardigan on my project page if you are interested. If you're one of those people that are affected by the new Ravelry webpage, just shoot me a message and I'll just screenshot or send you what I did on my pattern to make it a cardigan version if you can't spend too long or can't get on Ravelry at all. Let me check my notes, make sure that's everything. Yep, that is everything. Oh, this did not take up a lot of yarn either. I think I got a lot of stretch out of it because it was a cashmere nylon blend, but this took 336 grams total, so it wasn't an in-depth, heavy shawl, and I did make not the largest size, but I want to say it was the 46 or something like that, the size that I made. So it wasn't the smallest size, and it wasn't the largest size, but it was somewhere in the middle, and I think it's a pretty reasonable amount of yarn for a cardigan. And I did do that steek, so, and this button band, so if I hadn't done that, it'd probably be a little bit less that I had used. But we're going to do a quick wardrobe change. If you have any questions, like I said, drop me a comment down below and I will get that to you. But we're going to do a quick wardrobe change and I will see you in a second. So, we're back with my second finished object. This is the Imelda Shawl, and this one is also released. It is by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes podcast. This one it's an asymmetrical shawl, and it has 2 gauges in the pattern, because in her pattern she originally used what I want to say is an alpaca silk blend, so it has more of a drapey fabric, and the gauge for it is a lot denser. But she tells you in the pattern, as long as you get a gauge that can show the lace and is not too dense, you're free to use whatever yarn and whatever gauge you want, whatever comfortable shawl gauge that you want. So it really is flexible in that aspect. I tried to get as close to gauge as possible just because I was test knitting it. But because of that, I did have some yarn shortages because my yarn didn't have as much drape or anything like that. So in order to get the same length and same detail of it, I had to use a little bit more yarn. I think I didn't write it down, but I want to say it was like 226 or 230 something of grams for this. The purple is Medusa Yarns. She is the Professor Knits, and if you're here from her podcast, I want to say a special thank you to you as well. But this is from the Professor Knits, and then the multicolored blue-gray is Hugh Loco's Ruckus, and then at the bottom I had to add in just a plain gray, but that is also Hugh Loco and the Grocery Girls gray. Now in the pattern, it's just a plain lace motif with some twisted stitches. It's not, the whole motif is not twisted stitches, but it does have some twisted stitches and some bobbles. For my bobbles, what I did, and it was just for the bobbles itself, was use a needle size that was a couple sizes bigger than what I used. I want to say I used a US size 5 for this, and so I made the bobbles on a US size 7, and it was just those 5-6 stitches for the bobbles that I knit on a DPN of a size 7, and then I transferred the stitch back onto the size 5 and continued to do my knitting until I got to the next bobble. For her pattern, it's just the lace motif, but I don't know if you can see that I did add some beads into mine, and I'll add some project photos so that you can see a close-up of the beads here. But I added some beads. Those are 6mm beads that I added into the pattern. And basically, in order to figure out where I wanted the beads, I printed off a couple sheets of the lace motif, and I used a highlighter to add where I thought the beads would look best. And you can get a rough idea just looking at the pattern as to how it's going to look in the lace as to where you put the beads. So the one I ended up going with was in between that bobble pattern. There's 2 beads on the top and 2 beads on the bottom. So that's what I ended up going with. That I thought I would like the best, and I actually do like it, but like I said, it's not written into the pattern, so just play around with some highlighter, and if you have the paper and ink available, print off a couple sheets of the smallest chart, not the bigger chart, but the smallest chart, and kind of play with where you think the bead placement would look best. Other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. If you are an advanced beginner, I think this would be a really good lace motif because it will challenge you. It's only charted, so you don't have written instructions to fall back on. You just have pictures in the chart. So if you're an adventurous beginner, go right ahead and try this lace motif, and I think you'll be just fine because you do have these breaks with large sections of stockinette stitch. So it's super easy, and you just have to concentrate on this one part. Once you finish the one part, you get another break, and then you go back into that lace motif. And then hopefully by then you're building up that confidence, and when you're doing the last lace motif, you're A-okay. It's really an easy lace motif to pick up on. It's just a mixture of knits and purls, obviously, besides those bobbles. And then why I say adventurous beginner is because the lace chart, it is just charted, but it also is worked on both sides. So both the right and the wrong side, you're doing some kind of yarn over, knit 2 together, slip, slip, knit. So you are working patterns on both sides. So for the actual lace section, there may not be what you may consider a respite, but once you finish it, you do have a large section of stockinette to go into. So you don't have to super focus on that section of lace. So it is pretty simple. I like the pattern. It is released. Again, I think this one, what is it called? Pattern discount has expired. So full price, but if you ask me, all of Audrey's patterns are worth every dime. But asymmetrical. I did omit the I-cord on the edge, so this edge right here is supposed to have an I-cord finishing. I did omit that just because I was playing yarn chicken with it. You can see at the end where I had to do the lace in all 3 colors. So I was kind of playing yarn chicken, but I did end up finishing it. And at the end, I do have some of that blue-gray multicolor if I do want to add it in there. And I wanted to finish it and take a picture as it was, and then at a later date add the I-cord, just in case it didn't work out. I could unravel it and not have to worry about trying to finish it or anything like that. So to me, it is done, asymmetrical. You have this really long portion of your stockinette, and then your lace where I added beads. So that is the Imelda Shawl by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes podcast. I will do my last finished object, and then we'll hop into some chatter. But I will grab that, and we'll move on. So, whip 3, or finished object 3. This is called the Zeny crop by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes podcast. Hopefully I said that right. I don't know how you do how you say that in French. I think it's self-explanatory. Zeny. Anyway, it's a crop top by Audrey of the Yarn Flakes podcast. It's bottom up. It has a split hem and a slip stitch motif. So in order to do that split hem bottom up, you knit the back rib and the front rib separate, and then you join in the round and begin your slip stitch motif. It is super simple slip stitch motif, and essentially when you're working in the round, it's a 6-row repeat, but you only really have to remember 3 of the rows because you're working in the round and it's the same thing. So it is knit. I knit this in Knit Picks. I think it's called cotton linen. It's a cotton linen blend. It's 70-30 cotton linen blend. Hers, I believe, is a cotton blend too. I'm not sure if it's a linen as well, but hers is a cotton linen blend as well, or cotton blend. And bottom up, you do the slip stitch motif until you split for the sleeves, and then you'll knit flat back and forth and continue that slip stitch motif until you start to do the shoulder shaping. And she'll let you know on what color to end it on so it looks appropriate, and then how to manage those short row shaping for, not necessarily short row shaping, it's just shoulder shaping, I would imagine. Just shoulder shaping for the crop top. It does have a high-low hem as well, so when you knit the front and back separate, the back is longer than the front. Mine, I want to say 4 inches in the back and then 3 3/4 in the front. Just because I'm a little bit bustier, it's going to raise up in the front either way, so I didn't need to do as dramatic high-low hem difference. But in the pattern, I think they differ by like an inch and a half maybe. For the shoulders, I raised her up so you can't see it, but you do a 3-needle bind off, and then you pick up for the collar and the sleeves. But the sleeves are basically as long as you want to knit them. If you want to knit them, essentially, I guess, if you wanted to do just like a short sleeve, you could probably pick it up and immediately bind off. But I did a couple rows of ribbing for the sleeves just to give it a little bit of depth. And then I did a couple rows of ribbing at the top as well. I did a stretchy bind off at the sleeves, and then I did a regular bind off at the neck, but I used a needle size bigger than what I was using for the rib. It's not too stretchy, but at the same time, I don't know how this cotton is going to react, if it's going to stretch out and get saggy over time. So I wanted to make sure that this had structure in case that was the case. This one isn't available until, well, the finish date is not till July 19th, so probably around that time she'll be releasing it. and there'll be a discount code, as she usually does, for the pattern for a couple days once it's released. I will link my project page once it is released, and if, again, Ravelry has fixed their things, I will add all the notes that I did. For the most part, I haven't measured it exactly, but roughly estimating, I did 3.5 balls of the black. This dark blue was called Hydrangea, and I did 1.5 balls of that. And then the light blue was called Clarity, and that one I did almost a full ball. It's like 3/4 of a ball. I have, I think, maybe 10-15 grams left. So almost a whole ball. And these are 50-gram balls, so not a lot of yarn at all. Very quick summer knit, and if you knit it in your cotton, it's definitely summer friendly. It is a DK weight crop top, so it does knit up fairly quick. And then, like I said, that slip stitch pattern is so intuitive. Once you get into the pattern, you'll know it as soon as it, and you can always look back and figure out which colors you're supposed to be working next once you work a couple rows. But in the pattern, she does differentiate between color 1, 2, and 3. You can pick your colors however you want. And when she does upload the pattern page, hers is more of like an 80s retro vibe, and I do like the colors, but that color scheme would not fit into my wardrobe at all. But I do think it is super cute, so definitely check out her pattern page. And some of the people in the test group, I do like their color combinations as well, but this would work well in my wardrobe, in my color scheme. I'm that person, like, I can't find my black things in the middle of all my other black things. I'm that person. But it's just because when you get dressed in the morning and in the dark, or anytime, you can pull out anything out of your closet without really having to look, and you know it will match. But that's just me. I'm not a fashionista, as I've mentioned multiple times, and I like easy any day. But that's that high-low hem. The ribbing is done in twisted stitch, twisted rib, but I didn't do twisted rib just because I did it, and my main color is black, and unless you're like staring right at it or I point it out to you, most likely you're not going to see that twisted rib. If you're using lighter colors, twisted rib might look fabulous on it, but for me, it's a black bottom. You just see that it's rib, and unless you're really close to it, you're not going to see that those stitches are twisted. But it is a cute detail in her pattern page and her pictures. And then some of the other testers that have lighter colors, you can definitely see in that cotton how it kind of plumps up the stitch a little bit. But mine is black, and I wasn't going to spend extra time that no one was going to appreciate but me. And my fingers wouldn't have liked me anyway. So I didn't do twisted rib, but in the pattern it does call for twisted rib. I think that's everything, but let me check my notes. Yeah, that is everything. So we're working on time. We're getting quick there. So Zeny top, July 19th, Audrey of the Yarn Flakes podcast. I will most likely post something on my Instagram once she releases the pattern, some project pictures and everything like that. And then probably link to her page as well so that you can get that discount code if you're interested. But that is the end of the nitty part of my podcast. If that's all you were here for, I thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. I hope that you'll stay with me for the chatter part of it, because I do have some announcements that I think you'll like. And yeah, we'll get into the chatty part of it. Let me center myself a little bit. So, if you are a longtime viewer of the podcast, because I got a whole 6 episodes, if you're a longtime viewer, you will remember that in my 2nd or 3rd episode, when my subscribers were going up, I had mentioned that if I got to 200 that I was going to do a giveaway. So right now we're at 250 something, and I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, the like button, and the bell if you want to get notified. If not, the subscribe will be just fine for me. But since we've hit that 250 mark, I wanted to do a giveaway. So how I will structure my giveaway is I will give away 2 prizes. The first place winner will be able to pick between the 2 prizes, and then the second place winner will get whatever the first place winner didn't choose. So for the 2 prizes that I'm going to give away, it's going to be this mini skein collection from Medusa Yarns, and that's the Professor Knits on YouTube. It is a mini skein, I believe it's 80/20, and it's her rainbow mini skein collection. And then you'll get to choose, and I apologize because I don't want to open it. I want to keep it fresh for you guys. But this or this undyed yarn. So 1 skein of this or 1 skein of this. And what they are is, this one is 80/20/10 Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon Blend. And this is the same yarn that I made the Lonnie Sierra in. So you'll be able to choose between an undyed skein, or I can dye the skein for you and send it with your prize, or this 1 skein of this untreated merino. And again, you can have the undyed skein so you can try out dyeing, or I can dye it for you, whichever one of those. And then the second prize will be 1 skein of that as well, either or, and then a pattern from Tales of Yarnia. She has so generously donated one of her patterns for the giveaway. So 1 of her patterns, and 1 of the undyed skeins, or the mini set and 1 of the undyed skeins. So like I said, first place will get to choose between either or, and then that second place winner will get whatever the first place winner did not get. I think that's everything. Oh, how you enter the giveaway. That might help. So, all I would like to know from you is where you are tuning in from. I was checking my metrics the other day, and I only have about 40% viewership in the United States, and then the rest of it is between Europe and other. So I just want to know where everybody's tuning in from. That would really just satisfy my curiosity, and that is the only thing that I wish to know for the giveaway. So whoever puts in that I'm tuning in from wherever, you'll automatically be entered into a giveaway. And then I won't respond until, if you do ask a question, I won't respond until I've drawn for those winners, and then I'll respond to all of those comments, because I don't want to add my comment into the YouTube comment picker thing. So we'll save that till the end, but hopefully I'll draw that. I'll do a drawing, we'll say July, what's today, the 3rd? Yeah, July 3rd. So how about 10 days? So July 13th, 14th, around that time frame, I'll draw a winner, and then I'll either make just a random video so I can hopefully dye your yarn in time and send it out to you before our next podcast. I'm trying to do a monthly schedule now, but I'll either just make a short clip with the winners of the giveaway are, please contact me, and I'll probably put it up on YouTube and Instagram, just so if you follow me there on either YouTube or Instagram, you'll be able to get a prize. But you have to be a subscriber, and you have to comment down below. So, my tea. I got a new mug from my mother-in-law, Miss Cindy. Can you see that? No, you can't. But it is a beautiful shade of pink, which I like any shade of pink. And it is a skein or a hank, it could be both because it doesn't have a top, of yarn. And it says, knitting keeps me from unraveling. And it is a super cute mug. It has some weight to it, and I want to say it's like a true clay mug, because it has like that rough clay bottom, but I like it because it's pink and it looks like yarn. So, truly happy about that. Thank you, Miss Cindy. And the tea that I'm drinking, I'm going to butcher it, and I'll link it below so that you don't have to take my butchering. But it is Zhang Ping Shaoxing, and it is from Harney and Sons, my favorite tea company. But like I said, I'll link that down below for you guys, so you can just click on a link if you're interested in it. It's a green aged pua, and it comes in small little bricks, and you crush it up and you drink it, and it has a lovely floral green tea kind of flavor to it. I like it. May not be your cup of tea, and you may not be interested in tea if you're sweltering right now in the house, but that's what I'm drinking today. I did join a yarn club, and I just happened to scroll past this actually on Instagram, and I really do need to stop doing that, but I saw it on Instagram, and I went over to her site, and I really liked her color bases that she had, so I was like, her yarn club probably is going to be something that I like, and I do like it, and I like the concept behind it as well. She tells a story with each one of the yarns that she puts out, and I think that's super cute, and the story is super cute. I'm not going to read it, because you should probably be part of the club in order to get that super cute story, but it is pretty clever. So this is the yarn, and it comes in these reusable bags, and if you can see that, she has her stamped logo on the bag, and it's just a drawstring linen, maybe muslin bag, but it is reusable. It's not plastic, so 2 points to Gryffindor for that. And this is the yarn of the month colorway, but while I was on there, I did see a green that I was interested in that I got, and I'll show you next. But this is on her Camelot base, and that is her 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon, 100 grams for 435 yards or 398 meters. And this colorway is called the Marvelous Ship. But it is a nice blue tonal. And then the green that I got because I'm pretty good at dyeing pinks, and I'm pretty good at dyeing blues. Purple sometimes can be hit or miss, but I can never get the green that I see in my head onto a skein of yarn. It just never works out for me. And it's fine because it's yarn that is for me. I'm not dyeing it for somebody or anything like that, so my stress level isn't super high, but I can never get the green that's in my head onto a skein of yarn. I don't hate the greens that I get, but I just can never get the green that I think that I'm going to get. But this green I saw, and because I can't do greens, I knew I had to get it. And this is on her Merlin base, and yeah, that's more true. And it is just a beautiful, and it may look more tonal on camera, but in actuality, it's a pretty uniform green. And it's a stunning shade of green. But this is her Merlin base, and that's a 75-25. And it has a little bit more yardage than her Camelot base, which this one is 100 grams for 463 yards or 423 meters. But that is just a lovely shade of green. And those are my acquisitions that I have, as well as that giveaway prize. So don't forget to tell me where you're from. And then, oh, I lied. As we were talking about greens, this is a green that I got from Medusa Yarns. Again, a green I probably could never get when I thought about it. I would get it on accident and then never be able to duplicate it. But this is a green that has some stellina in it, and that's from Medusa Yarns. But whenever I see a green that I really like, I usually end up getting it because I can't do greens. Speaking of which, I did do some dyeing this weekend, or last weekend. And if I named my colorways, I would call this one Cotton Candy, because it has lots of shades of pink, and then different shades and varying of blue. And then it's a, I think the thing fell, but I know it's merino, nylon, and lurex. I can't tell you the percentages because the bag fell and that's where I wrote it. But if I were a naming person, I would call this one cotton candy. Just because, let me pick a good spot where you can see those different shades of pink that came out in it. And I did make a sweater's quantity of this one, so if something arises that I think would look really super cute in this one, I will definitely grab this. But this is a fingering weight. And then I made the last 4 skeins of this random DK weight that I had. And this one is a Polworth, 100% Polworth. And I was trying to recreate that purple that I made a couple episodes back. Didn't work out for me, but I'm not mad at this purple. I like the tonalness of it. I would definitely have to alternate my skeins for sure. But I also made a sweater quantity of this as well. And this would obviously be a winter sweater because it's 100% Polworth. And if I tried to do anything besides a winter sweater, I'd just be asking to be sweating for the rest of the day. But I like the purple that came out. Wonderful tonal. It has some bits of where the color broke that it's blue, but for the most part a pretty uniform purple. Last but not least, I will be adding some pictures of my garden at the end of the podcast, so if you stay tuned for that, you're more than welcome to see. I have some beginning and some now stages, and then some actual fruit and vegetables that I pulled out of the garden. So I'll just add a random picture, picture display at the end of my garden. To those who gave me those composting tips, thank you very much. They did work, and I forget your name, but you gave me a suggestion to a person on YouTube. That really helped as well, so I appreciate that. And then that is all that I have to talk about. Hopefully I did hit my goal and it's short enough, but I feel like I did still talk for 40 minutes, probably around that time frame. But thank you for joining me. I hope to see you on my next podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to tell me where you're from. And good luck to everyone, and I will see you next month. Thank you, and bye.